Manbir has many accolades. She is an executive and leadership coach, a conversational intelligence enhanced skills practitioner, and a positive intelligence coach. Manbir has written many books. Manbir is the author of Get Your Next Promotion and Are You the Leader That You Want to Be? And this book has been nominated for 5 Best Business Books awards as well, which is amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
In terms of Manbir's work, Manbir helps you achieve a balanced and sustainable growth for yourself and your organization by facilitating your alignment of aspirations, your purpose, and your actions. So she brings all of this together for anyone who works with her. Pretty cool. Manbir is passionate about helping others and teams bring more humanness in their mindset and actions. Manbir is all about growth, and she actually has a series of interviews that she does as well on growth mindset. Manbir, I'm going to put all of your details in the show notes, so no doubt people want to look you up and go wild, everybody. Look up Manbir. You'll have lots of interesting content there. Manbir, today I've got lots to talk to you about, but today I want to talk to you about the topic of use your superpower for your and your organization's success. This is one that I'm also passionate about. So to begin with, I want to ask a bit of a personal question. What superpowers do you have?
That's that's beautiful. So I feel, I always say that, what's your superpower? Superpower is whole you. So I guess, engaging your whole you is a superpower. But having said that, I guess my superpower is one of the superpower which I really love about is humanness, I would say. So connecting with people at human level, whichever level they are. So I love that. So you can say empathy and curiosity, under that. So that's what I'm basically referring to.
Absolutely. And I'd add compassion, I'd add inquisitiveness. All of my conversations with Manbir have been so thought-provoking and just, wonderful. Each time I talk with you, I've really enjoyed it. So, Manbir, can you tell me about an individual? How would they consider their superpowers and how would they tap into it as well? So if you were, say, coaching someone, how do you work with someone to harness their superpowers?
Yeah. That's a good question, Prina. And I feel that what we call superpower is the core of who we are.
Yeah.
And if somehow we get aligned to that core, and more than alignment, I guess if we can just get a glimpse of that core, that this is my core. This is where my happy space is. For example, as I said, human connections, being playful, having that fun, that's my core. And I love that. I love conversations. I love connecting to people. And that's my happy space.
Yeah.
So if you know your happy space, and that's not like to me, I think that's my perspective is it's not like a switch on and switch off and immediately you'll get to know. It's a journey.
Yes.
And you should not force yourself, no, now I have to know and now I've known it. No, it's not like that. And once you get a glimpse of it, start exploring more. Start being in that particular space for longer duration, for see what happens to you. I can bet that you would be more happy when you are enjoying those superpower. You may not feel that at that point of time, but if you're curious and if you're aware, self-aware, certainly that will be your happy space. And if in your professional life also, if you stay connected to that happy space inside you, you can be much more than who you are right now. I can assure you about that particular thing. And when I'm saying aligning aspirations, your actions, your purpose, so this also is part of that, being aligned to who you are.
Yeah. And Manbir, I really like the fact that you say it takes time. It's not an overnight thing. I am 41 years old and it's taken me a long time to work it out. And then, eventually you feel like the dots are joining. So it takes time because there's me as an individual. There may be me as an employee. There might be me as various other aspects. So there's a lot to an individual, isn't there, within the workplace and
Absolutely.
as themselves also,
Yeah.
first and foremost.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, and the other sides of us are very conditioned by society expectations, by nice to have or kind of should have kind of words. That's who we are generally because we are conditioned like that.
Yeah,
So when we start recognizing who we are, and we call it superpower, we call it whichever way we call it, these are only words, but you are certainly happy in that particular space for sure.
absolutely. And when you're lost in that space where you don't know who you are, what your passions
Hmm.
are, I have found
Hmm.
for myself the best times to actually accept that when you're going through a bit of a brain
Hmm.
fog. But then the thing that's really always usually helped me is either talking to colleagues or talking to trusted people who
Hmm.
know me, or getting myself a coach such as yourself,
Hmm.
Manbir, to really unpack it, because often you don't know what you don't know, that whole blind spot
Absolutely.
thing.
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
and as a coach like myself, no doubt you have a lot of tools and techniques that you tap into to
Yeah.
help uncover this for your coachees.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And I again say that's a journey,
Isn't it just? Yes. Yeah.
and journey is more important than the destination here.
Yeah. Yeah. All that self-discovery is just so
Yeah. Yeah.
invigorating. Absolutely. So,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Manbir, you talk about the concept of human leadership. What
Yeah.
does that mean? Can you tell me more about human leadership, please?
Yeah, certainly. So, I come from a technology background. I worked in fintech world for 15 odd years, so and I left my corporate career 10 years back and I started practicing coaching. So I'm bringing that in to set the context right. And I saw people, including me, had the intention to engage our teams in the bestest way, to deliver the best results, but still sometimes fail to. So, intention is right. Actions are also, getting done, but still results are not there. People feel demotivated. They are not engaged in that deeper way. So human leadership is a tool which I created long time back, and I call it the no fluff way to help leaders engage and mobilize their teams. And this framework helps you elegantly to take out the subjectivity, because we all fear of that subjectivity. People is
Yes.
going to subjective thing, right? So it takes out that subjectivity to a large extent and brings in the objectivity so that people can really, really make those small steps and experience the change. So, telling you more about human framework, human is a 5-step framework. So, every letter, HUMAN,
Yep.
stands for a phase.
Aha.
So H is heeding yourself, basically. So what does it mean is heeding to your basic qualities of being a leader, who you are, as we said. Who you are is the core of human framework. And maybe going to things like your credibility, your competence, your resilience, how trustworthy you are, your say-do ratio. So it's all about being aware of your own self. And the next part, you, is understanding your team members. So I believe once you know about yourself, then only you can know more about other people at that level. So it's like, it's not like understanding them at a shallow level. It's understanding their professional aspiration, their personal aspirations, their alignment of their roles to the bigger picture. That's very important part of human framework. The third one is messaging. So that is setting the right expectations, sending right messages and stories to your team members. The fourth one is acknowledgement and rewards, appreciation. So it's not like, organization's way of acknowledgement and rewards. As a team leader, how can you appreciate and acknowledge? So we go step by step, to that process. And the last one is nurturing,
Hmm.
very important part. So once you go through these steps, you have that connection with your team. So it's about nurturing your team members to be better leaders and enable them to do their best. So that's what human leadership framework is all about.
You speak my language. Oh my gosh. And this framework, Manbir, is so needed right now, especially given
Yeah,
that, we are working separately, we're working remotely, or just working in
yeah,
such different ways. And
yeah, that's
I,
right.
I don't know what your experience with your clients is, Manbir. The ones who have focused on, the human leadership aspect and the way you put it are doing really well because they've got that connection with their team already.
Yeah.
The ones who didn't have that connection before COVID happened are finding it harder.
Absolutely. Yeah.
In your
That's right. Yeah.
But there is a way around it, I imagine.
Yeah, that's right. And human leadership framework is kind of a step-by-step approach to reach it. It's not like, okay, there are, I mean, everybody knows the concept, right? We should be better listener, should have better conversations. Okay, but what next? When I come back from the training or coaching session and come back to my desk, what do I do? Because there are 100 emails to reply and there are, 500 other things to do. Maybe other deliveries, other meetings. So what do I do? What is the next step? So this framework basically helps you to take small steps at one point of time. And, as I said, journey is more important than the destination. So experience the journey.
Beautiful, beautiful. Can you tell me a little bit more then about human conversations? That's another thing you talk about.
Yeah. So that's again, something which is very close to my heart. As I said, that's something my core, I guess. So conversations. As part of our professional, personal lives, we have conversations all the time, isn't it, Prina?
Yep.
Yeah. So and we are impacting other lives and our life also through conversations. Good conversations are made of intention, attention, listening, trust, empathy, curiosity, and emotions. So these are the ingredients which are required for a good conversations. Sometimes you might have experienced this, Prina, in your career. We are having a bad day. Things don't go well with a client or with your boss, But some clients or some bosses or peers, wherever things are not going great, the conversation will not be that bad. Conversation will not make you feel bad as a person.
Yeah.
And on the opposite side, there are sometimes deliveries with the client or with your bosses or with the peers where things are not that bad actually, but you feel so bad about yourself that, if it's a Friday, the whole weekend is gone.
Yeah.
Right. So the words in that conversation, not only the demeanor, the words in that conversation we use in our conversation end up creating an impact on our minds, on even on the hormones, what we are releasing at that point of time. So I'm not getting into the neuroscience side of it, which hormones and all that, but the good hormones and not so good hormones. So we keep on generating those hormones when we have conversations. And whenever our brain senses triggers like, I'm excluded from the group, from the tribe.
Yeah.
I'm being judged. I'm being limited. I'm being dictated. So limiting kind of triggers, the brain triggers those hormones like cortisol, which closes us. And we react from our limbic system, which is fight or flight reaction. And when we have on the opposite side, when we have, good hormones, good trusting conversations, in the neuroscience of conversations, we call it we-centric conversation. That is you and me both, we-centric conversations. So where we are co-creating a conversation, that time our brains generate hormones like oxytocin, which is a good hormone, feel good hormone. What it does on what kind of impact it has on us is basically it opens up the other sides of the brain, and we basically take better decision because we are utilizing other sides of the brain at that point of time. So I hope I've not gone much into.
I love it. This is my area. I love it completely. So, and Manbir, one of the things I talk about is the positional power that a people manager has. So that most organizations work in a hierarchical format. So that positional power is so important, and the use of your language, the use of your words, when you have
Yeah,
that conversation, the timing as well is just so important. I remember
absolutely.
when you were talking, it really made me think about one of my best managers ever. So I used to work 4 days a week in a very stressful HR job. Fridays I
Mm-hmm.
had off. So every Thursday afternoon, I would, walk in with my hand over a piece of paper into her office. We would close the door, and then we would just have an open, honest conversation about handover stuff for her, anything that, I needed to flag, any people issues or whatever. And then in return, any feedback that she had for me, good, bad,
Mm-hmm.
or ugly. But because we
Mm-hmm.
had that relationship and because we had that
Mm-hmm.
trust with each other beforehand, we could
Mm-hmm.
then have such an
Yeah,
honest conversation. Because without that foundation beforehand, nah, it's not going to
yeah,
land. And then all of my triggers will go off, all of the bad stuff will go off. Whereas if I have
yeah,
trust in you and if I respect you also, then
yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's a different level of conversation, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's if you don't have that trust, it's kind of the conversation which is about me.
Yeah.
I suppose you are giving me feedback. It's about I-centric. It's we basically. Why is she saying this to me? No, I didn't do this. It's kind of my defense mechanism will kick off.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
that's what happens if we don't have trust. And again, I always tell people, trust is not something, you have started building trust and you have built trust. It's an ongoing thing. Every
Absolutely.
conversation you make is either creating or depleting trust.
100%. And one thing I always tell coaches or anyone who is especially a new people manager, start
Hmm.
as you mean to go on. It is like a marriage of sorts, a working
Yeah,
relationship. So, what are our rules of conversation? What are our boundaries? How are we going to
yeah,
work together? How can we
yeah,
communicate together? But then, as a people manager, having managed many people in the past, you need to know your people. You need to know their style, their personality,
yeah,
their sensitivities. And that takes time to nurture and build. And
absolutely.
exactly what you're talking about is that human connection, is that leadership on a different level, isn't it? When you really
Yeah,
get to
yeah,
know each
yeah,
other. Yeah,
yeah.
beautiful.
That's right.
Manbir, your latest book is titled Get Your Next Promotion, and it sounds
Yeah.
fascinating. Um, Tell me a little bit more about how one can get a promotion using these human principles that we just talked about.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so in my experience of working as an executive coach now for 10 years,
Mm,
so I've worked with many senior leadership teams, executive teams, HR people, and I've realized that one of the big problems for organization is to develop a healthy leadership pipeline. Sorry. And most of the time, they struggle to get good candidates for leadership positions, and they go outside the organization. They feel that their people are domain experts. They are doing good in that particular role, but they are not ready for the next role.
often.
And on the other hand side, there are people at the mid level or beyond mid level. Basically, when I'm saying get your next promotion, it's promotion to the C-suite levels, to the senior leadership roles. So there are people at mid level or beyond who have been doing really good, have been creating results in their business units, in their divisions, functions, but they feel they are stuck. They're not able to realize their potential. So there is a gap. So I'm giving you the context, why this book was written. So this book was written for these professionals who seem to have come up against that kind of glass ceiling. So
Yeah.
this book, Get Your Next Promotion, is to help such professional advance to the next levels, which is senior roles. And coming back to relating it to now, human leadership. Human leadership is one part of everything I'm talking about in this particular book. So this book starts from how people come to plateau. What is plateau? What can you do if you are at plateau? So we talk about starting from goal setting to creating impact to brand to emotional intelligence to conversations. And these elements are not only what I think about it or what I have researched. It's they are covered with 10 stories. So every element has a story of a CXO across. There are 10 CXO across the globe, which are being featured in the book. So if one CEO talks about goal setting, another one is talking about impact, the other one is talking about emotional intelligence. So human leadership is required, and it's one part of it. But of course, if you are a human leader, it's not like, you already have that kind of brand. So it's like, what are you doing for your brand? What are you doing for your emotional intelligence? How clear are you on your goals? Those kind of things. So there are 10 elements which are covered in this book to make anyone successful for that C-suite roles, basically.
Fascinating. And I know personally lots of people who'd benefit from that book. Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you so much. Manbir, this interview series is called Ways to Change the Workplace. So my final question to you is, if you had a magic wand, what is one way that you would change the workplace?
Humanness, which means human leadership and human conversation. That is the magic wand. And because you said one magic wand, so I said humanness, but it requires both the thing, human way of dealing with people and human conversations. So I guess, especially in this era, of remote working, not that, before remote working, we didn't need it, but now I think we all know that we are never going to go back to fully physically workplaces. It has to be hybrid workplaces, and there's a lot of need for human leadership, where people can step back and see that everybody here is human, and we need human to human connection, and also everybody here is to make an impact.
Yes.
Coming from that perspective really changes the whole dynamics. So I think, that's what I really wish for.
Beautiful. I love your philosophy. I love everything that you talk about. Manbir, I know this is not going to be the final conversation. There's lots more to come. Thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Prina. It was nice talking to you.
Always a pleasure.